Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in Mobile, Alabama. We've been here for the past couple days and just doing a lot of teachings and also doing a retreat here. For me, just sitting right now out in nature by the lake, so have absolutely no complaints. But today, the topic that I wanted to talk about is mental health. In the month of May in the United States, for us it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So with my background of being a licensed marriage and family therapist and having worked in the mental health field for over a decade, I am honored to bring attention to this topic. Also, I wanted to talk about Buddhism because this is one approach that we use in the East. So with this channel, I'm excited because now we get to talk about the lens and the tools that we use in the West, and typically that is regarding psychology, and then in the East. And for this specific video, I want to talk about Buddhism. So as being a Buddhist monk and just kind of living in the monastery, I wanted to give you an overview of these two perspectives, and there are similarities, but there's also differences as well. So hopefully we can get an overview of these two different perspectives. So this will just be more tools for you. And again, we can learn from one another. The East can learn from the West, and also the West can learn from the East. So in the United States, the thing that we look at right now and are paying attention to is mental health. What is that? And mental health is pretty much, if I can sum it up, is regarding one's overall well-being. And this consists of three dimensions. We're looking at the emotional, the psychological, and also the social well-being. And in these three dimensions, we want to make sure it's balanced and it's healthy, and it's looking at how we think, how we feel, and also how we act. These things also relate to how we deal with stress, how we relate to others, and also the choices that we make. Are they healthy or are they maladaptive and they do not serve us? But for the West, many of the people, when they're struggling with mental health issues, one of the things that they have access to are just mental health professionals, whether they're counselors, whether they're therapists. But for myself, when I was getting my schooling to become a therapist, what we're taught are different modalities and different tools or different school of thought of how change comes about. And some of the most popular ones are, for example, is CBT, and that's cognitive behavioral therapy. And the perspective of this school and how they believe that change comes about is through altering one's thought pattern. This specific model is very well known in the United States just because it's evidence-based. There's been a lot of research and there's been a lot of studies regarding this topic. Other schools of thoughts that we have or models that we use is psychodynamic. And psychodynamic, they see that change happens through insight and understanding. Another school of thought or another model that we use is Gestalt therapy. And for myself, as the therapist, this was the model that resonated with me the most. But how we see change and how change can come about is through here and now awareness, bringing the client back to this present moment, using their experience and sensation that is coming up in the moment, and also with the relationship with the therapist. And we use everything in the room. Another model that we can use is narrative therapy. And narrative therapy helps people to externalize the problem. Many people, for example, who struggle with depression, they will say that I'm depressed or this is my depression. But as the therapist, for us, we try to help them to separate that, to not own that, where you experience symptoms of the depression, but you are not the depression. So we help them through language to separate that, because when they own it, it can be a bit too much. Also, we help them to change their story. We help them to deconstruct these narratives that they have, and this can be helpful for them. Another model that we can use is solution-focused therapy. And solution-focused therapy believes that change comes about by accessing the resource of the clients. They have the strengths, they have the resource, and we use all of that to help them formulate solutions for their problems. So again, for all of these are just different models of how do we look at change, and this can be so helpful for the clients. So this is just a very simple and basic understanding of the mental health model. And these are just a few, so there are so many. So then now we can look at Buddhism. And one easy way to look at it, kind of like mental health, is that this is just a model. And this is a model for change, and this is a model to dealing with suffering. And there are different models depending on who you're talking to. For example, there is a model for change for lay people, a model for change for the novice monks under the age of 20, a model of change for the nuns, the bhikkhunis, and the monks. So it has different levels of training. But specifically for me, I'll just focus on one that may be applicable for you. But first, to understand it, we need to understand the premise. And the premise in Buddhism is we're looking at the mind. And in the mind, what we believe is that there are three root defilements, three things that taint the mind at the core. And that's anger, that is greed, and then also delusion. What Buddhism is trying to teach you is to see things as it is. But when the mind, or when your mind is clouded and tainted, then it blocks it. And you can't see clearly. So we add stories, we add greed, we add emotions, and it taints that picture. And this is what can cause us so much suffering. And Buddhism uses a model to help you purify this mind. Try to do these things so it helps you to eliminate these defilements, these anger, greed, and delusion. And the model that we can look at is, it comes in three parts. The first one is just the morality piece. And the morality is just hold 5 basic precepts. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no false speech, and then no intoxicants. This is the first piece. The second piece is then give. Do generosity, and we call this dana. And in this comprises of giving of your time, giving of your resources, giving of motivation and encouragement and kind words to other people, teaching people of wholesome habits. These are all parts of giving. Even forgiveness to yourself and others is part of giving. This is the second piece. The third piece of the model to help you purify your mind is then with meditation. And with meditation is you're just allowing yourself to stay still. Bring your focus, bring your attention and awareness back to this moment, and allow the dirt and the debris from the day, from the week, from the year to simply settle. And hopefully through this act, you'll start to gain wisdom. And with this wisdom, then you can keep doing this model more and more. And each time, hold your precept. Each time, do more giving. And then each time, keep meditating. And an easy way that can summarize this for you, that would be helpful if we were to simplify this model for you. But it's just any of the bad that you're doing, stop doing bad. The second part is then do more good. And then the third part is purify the mind. And again, that is through meditation. So these are the two schools or two models that you can look at change and that you can look at suffering. And for me, I don't like to compare of this is better than or this is worse than, but it's just look at it neutrally. And these are two school of thoughts that deals with change and also deals with suffering. And even more important than this for me is I wanted to make this video because a lot of people out there are suffering. And I don't want to convince you of to do this or to do that, but if you are suffering, I would say seek support. Try something that helps to change your habits. Try something where it can motivate and inspire you. So through reading, through seeking a professional. If you want to learn Buddhism is okay too. You can utilize a church, a temple, books, internet, audio files, podcasts. For myself, speaking directly for me is anything is fine. But wherever you are, seek that support. And many times when people are struggling, they can minimize it. And through this minimizing, it can make us feel isolated and it can trap us even more, which means that it increases our suffering. So if you are in that space, I would say to reach out, and that suffering is normal. It applies to all of us. And myself, I had the experience of working with people who have limited resources and they experience suffering. I work with people who have endless amount of resources and they're the wealthiest in the world and they still experience suffering. But regardless of wherever you are, I just wanted to bring attention to this fact. And the fact is that these experiences are normal. You do not have to feel shame about them, but just see them neutrally. And again, reach out and get the support that is needed. So sending you all my wishes out there. Hope everyone is doing well and have a good day. Satu. I hope this video was helpful. Satu.